Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Baruchim haboim. Welcome, everyone. You're all muted, I think, except for us, so you can wave and say hi if you hear. Okay, I see Perry, I see Ari. So today is it's Rosh Chodesh. It also happens to be our secular wedding anniversary. It's our 50th anniversary. We're happy to be spending it with our friends. Good to be spending it together with you. It's the last parak of the 6 chapters of Pirkei Avot, right? Pirkei Avot is learned between Pesach and Shavuos, and so this week marks the end of this. Will mark the end of the Sefirah period. We'll be having the beautiful holiday of Shavuos Thursday night and Friday, and of course, what's happening now in Florida, where we are, and everywhere across the country. Actually, we're beginning to end this nightmare of COVID. And I just spoke with my brother, told me the sad situation with his brother-in-law in Eretz Yisrael, so people still are suffering with it, and which means that even though we will be exiting slowly, we're going to be returning to normal life, but we need to be careful. I'm hesitant to use the word smart, because when politicians say smart, they mean listen to me, but we need to be careful and look forward that maybe the schus of the Torah that we're learning, the beautiful Yom Tov, that this plague, this nightmare will end, and we'll be able to go back to seeing each other in person. So, just to start this, the 6th chapter of Pirkei Avot originally was not part of Pirkei Avot. Pirkei Avot originally was five chapters, and the custom developed to learn it between Pesach and Shavuos, and since there are 6 weeks, at one point this 6th chapter, which we are working on today, was added. And the 6th chapter is unique because it really dwells on the beauty and the value of learning Torah. So we're going to go through the comments that various rabbis have made about learning Torah, what's the benefit of it, and what it does for your own character. And so we're going to start. The first Mishnah in the parak begins with Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Meir, as you know, was probably the most important person in terms of gathering all the Mishnayos, organizing them, and so on. And many cases, when there is a Mishnah without an author mentioned, where there's no attribution, it is Rabbi Meir. So this one says Rabbi Meir, and the Mishnah says Rabbi Meir Omer, Kol ha'osek b'Torah lishma. So what does that mean? We all know, we've heard the expression before, to learn Torah lishma, to learn Torah for the benefit, for the value of learning Torah itself, not necessarily for the material rewards we might get from it, or honor, or so on. Learning Torah purely for the sake of Torah. Zochel l'dvarim harbe. That person will merit many things, and we're going to go through some of them. V'lo od, and not only that, ela shekol olam kulo kedai hu lo, that the entire world can exist for that person. So that's sort of an unusual statement to make, that the world can exist for me. But if you believe that the world was created through the agency of the Torah, right? That we say histakel b'oraisa v'barei alma, that God looked at the Torah was a blueprint for the world, and then He created the world. So then, if that's the case, those of us, those people who are involved in the study of Torah, then the world, it was fit that the world could have been created just for them, because they're doing the same thing that God did. So that person is Nikrei Reya. He's called a friend, Ahuv, beloved. And the commentaries ask, why does it say a friend and a beloved? Don't you love your friend? And they said, not necessarily. Sometimes a friend could be a person who is friendly to you in the sense that he's helping you, but you may not appreciate the assistance that the person is giving. Sometimes, hi Becky, I see my daughter Becky showed up. Sometimes a person who is a friend who is helping you, you may not appreciate it. So he's saying this friend is a beloved friend as well. Oiva as a makom, this person who studies Torah loves Hashem. Oiva as a brios, he loves other people. Misameach as a makom, he makes God happy, right? If the world was created for the study of Torah and we do it, then God is happy, kaviyachol. Misameach hasabrios, and He makes other people happy. Umalbashto anova vira, and He is clothed in humility and in fear of God. Umachsharto lios tzadik v'chasav v'yoshev v'nemon, and he becomes a person who is righteous and pious, straight and who is trustworthy. Marachto menachet, and he distances himself, but also he distances others from committing sin. Because if you are a person who is learning Torah and maybe sharing the Torah that you've learned with others, so you can have the effect on other people as well, that you can produce a benefit for them, that they will distance themselves from sin because of what you've accomplished. And also he brings himself and others closer to the benefits of this world. And they will benefit from him, from his wisdom and his counsel, bino gvura, from his understanding and from his strength, because sometimes what we need is not just understanding, we need strength, right? Somebody to stand up for principles. Shinamar, because the pasuk says in Mishlei, in Proverbs, it says, Li eitzav v'soshia, ani bina li gura. So it says that to me, in other words, to God, to the study of the Torah, is wise counsel and understanding and strength. And this one's a little bit difficult to understand because it says it gives him kingship, it gives him monarchy and the ability to rule and to understand judgment. But in a certain sense, if you have that freedom of your mind, so then you are like a king. If your mind is free because you've been engaged in the study of Torah, so that gives you a certain amount of royalty. Umagalan lo raze soda. So, and if you are diligent in your study, the secrets of the Torah will be revealed. And the more you study, somehow or other, there's always something new to learn. So whether that means that you're going to learn the mystical secrets of the Torah, the Kabbalah, I'm not sure, but certainly the more you study, the more you're going to know. And those people who are engaged in Torah study all the time know that every time you learn it, there's something new. V'nase kamayim hamiskaber, and he becomes like a flowing spring, v'chanahar she'eino posek, and like a river that never stops. V'havei tzenua, and that person is modest. V'erach ruach, and he is. There are two expressions when it comes to a person who is forbearing, or somebody who has been insulted maybe, or maybe someone has done something to him which would normally evince anger. So we have, one is called erech apayim, and one is called erech ruach. So the person who's erech apayim really is angry, but controls the anger. The person who's erech ruach is someone who doesn't even allow himself to get angry. So that's certainly another level above that if you study enough and you appreciate the value of the Torah, not only will you not express anger, you won't even feel the anger. And there's a famous story about one of the Baalei Musar in Europe that felt that there were certain times when he needed to express anger, but he felt that an angry response would have more of an effect on his students, on his congregation. But he had trained himself so well that he never did get angry. So he had a certain hat that he kept on a hook near the front door of his house. And those few occasions when he felt he needed to express anger, he would take that hat, put that hat on, and then sort of the people knew, oh, the Rebbe is angry now. So it's basically to have self-control. Umochel al albono, umegadlo, v'ramamto, v'kol hamasim. And so this person is does not. He forgives someone who insults him, right? And that's a tough thing to do. And he grows because of all of his good deeds. The next Mishnah, Amri B'Shua ben Levi. B'Shua ben Levi said, B'chol yom v'yom basko yotzeis behar chorev u'machrezes v'homeres. Every day, there's a heavenly voice which comes from Har Chorev, which is another word for Sinai, and it announces and it says, and the idea of Baskol is an interesting concept in itself, a heavenly voice. So the commentaries say that when did Baskol ever actually start? That there were these kinds of heavenly sounds is when prophecy stopped. Originally the prophecy would come. Hashem would speak to a person, whether in a dream or face to face, like with Moshe Rabbeinu. But when that ended, so I guess there were instances when God felt the need to communicate directly, and the method that was used was called the Baskol. So what did the Baskol say? It comes out every day, and I myself haven't heard it. I guess if we pay attention, concentrate a little better. I know Ari's got these headphones on. Maybe that'll help us to hear the Baskol. Perry's wearing the headphones too. So if you catch the Baskol, let me know. So the Baskol says, "Oy lehem lebrius mi'albona shel Torah." So he says, it's bad for people who are not respectful of the Torah. Shekol mi she'ena osek v'Torah nikra nazuf, because every person who does not spend time, does not take time to learn Torah, he's called a nazuf, which is somebody who is basically rebuked, right? Shneimar, because it says nezem zohav af chazir, a gold ring in the nose of a pig. That's isha yafa v'soras time. That's like a beautiful woman who does not basically have self-control. So politicians use that expression too, lipstick on a pig. So it's nothing new under the sun, right? That kind of expression. Shlomo HaMelech was using it thousands of years ago. Vomer, and he says, "Aluchos maseh Elokim heima," that the tablets of the 10 Aseres Dibros were made directly by God. V'michtav Elokim hu, and the inscription, the writing on it, is the writing of Hashem. Charas al-Luchos, that is engraved on the tablets themselves. So al tigra charus ela cherus. Don't say, so those who read the Torah, Ari is an excellent Bal Koreh, and by the way, you're going to have an opportunity to hear Ari reading Megillas Rus on Thursday morning. We're having a program in Shul where we're going to be doing Megillas Rus, and we're going to do Yizkor, and there'll be some other exciting events. So you'll hear Ari reading Megillas Rus, and in the Holy Scriptures there are no vowel sounds, and there's no punctuation, and the words that we use and the way we pronounce them is basically tradition. So we read charus, right? That they were inscribed, but an alternate reading could be cherus, because the word cherus means freedom, right? She'ein lach ben chorn el amish osek b'talmud Torah. There's no one who is as free as a person who spends his time in the study of Torah. V'kol mish osek b'Torah tadir, and somebody who studies Torah as a regular thing on a regular basis, harezeh mis'aleh, it becomes like an elevation for him. Because Shneimar mimatona nachaliel uminachaliel bamos. So this is talking about the travels of the Jews in Mitzrayim, but basically it's the names of the places to which they traveled indicated that they were ascending, that they were going to a higher and higher place. And so then, therefore, the study of Torah, what it does, it gets us to a higher spot.
I'm just going to say a little bit about Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi. He was an early Amora of the 3rd century CE, and he lived in Eretz Yisrael. And as a reminder, the Amoraim taught after the compilation of the Mishnah by Yehuda Hanassi, and then through the 5th century CE. Yehoshua had a yeshiva in Lod, in what was Judea at the time. He was a contemporary of Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, and his mentors were Bar Kapara, Rabbi Yehuda ben Pedaya, and Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. Rabbi Yehoshua was known for his moderate stance and a desire for peaceful relations among the nations. He forbade Jews from cursing the enemies of Israel. He was well loved among the rabbis in his lifetime and was highly respected by the Roman authorities in Israel. He made several trips to the Roman authorities in Caesarea on behalf of the Jewish residents of Judea. Rabbi Yehoshua was very devoted to Torah study. He believed that the study of Torah enabled Jewish soldiers to win in battle. In Makos 10a, Rabbi Yehoshua says, "Our feet were standing in your gates, Jerusalem. What caused our feet to withstand the enemies in war? It is the gates of Jerusalem where they were engaged in Torah study." He also believed Torah study could cure physical ills. In Eruvin 54a, he says, "One who feels pain in his head should engage in Torah study, as it's stated. For they shall be as a graceful wreath for your head. And one who feels pain in his throat should engage in Torah study, as it is stated, and chains about your neck. One who feels pain in his intestines should engage in Torah study, as it is stated, it shall be health to your navel. One who feels pain in his bones should engage in Torah study, as it is stated, and marrow to your bones. And one who feels pain in his entire body should engage in Torah study, as it is stated, and health to all their flesh." The rabbis of the Talmud were so impressed with the holiness of Rabbi Yehoshua that they said that while he lived, Hashem did not have to make a rainbow appear in the sky to show Hashem's bond with mankind, due to Yehoshua's devotion to Torah and unwavering bond with Hashem.
Next Mishnah is the third Mishnah, and the Mishnah says, "Halamed mechavero perek echad." If somebody learns from his friend, from his colleague, from his fellow, one chapter, o halacha achas, one rule, o pasuk echad, or even one verse, o dibur echad, or one statement, afilu os achas, even one letter, sarklin hobog kavod. You have to show respect for that person. Shekain motzina b'David Melech Yisrael. So, as we found with King David, the greatest king in our history, that shelo lamad me'achitofel el shnei devarim bilvad. He learned from Achitophel, who was one of his friends, basically one of his generals. He learned from him just two things. What did he learn from him? He learned that a person should not study alone, should not study Torah by oneself, and that when you go into the shul or the Beis Medrash to study or to daven, you have to go in with a correct attitude, an attitude of awe and respect. So that's what David learned from Achitophel, and yet the Kuro Rabbi called him his teacher, right? Alufo, and his general, Umiyuado, and his faithful friend. Shinamar, because the pasuk in Tehillim says, talking about Achitophel, is Ata Enosh Ke'erki Alufi Umiyuadi. So these words, Aluf and Miyuad, are listed in that sentence, letting you know that this was the attitude that David had towards Achitophel. And then the Mishnah says, "V'halo dvarim kal v'chomer." Is it not logical that you would practice this way? Uma David Melech Yisrael, just as David, the king of the Jews, king of Israel, shelo lama mi'achitophel el shnei dvarim bilvad. He learned only those two items, right? Not to learn Torah by yourself, to go into show the proper attitude. Ko Rabba Alufo Miyado, he had these great opinion about him. He had these terrific things he said about him. Halome mechavero perek echad, o halacha achas, o pasuk echad. So somebody learns from his fellow one chapter or one halacha or one verse, o dibur echad, afilo os achas, or one statement or one phrase or even one letter. And by the way, we always feel like Torah learning, whatever we're learning, is somehow interconnected. So those of us who are learning Daf Yomi, I know Ari, you're doing it, right? You're learning, keeping up with Daf Yomi. And Mindel and I, one of the things that we discovered during this lockdown, the shutdown, is that we enjoyed doing Daf Yomi together. So we've been doing Daf Yomi together. And in one of the pages that we studied this week, it went through several different examples where if you substituted an aleph for an ayin or an ayin for an aleph, the entire meaning changes. So that's an example of a person who teaches you one letter, right? Says, don't read charus, read cherus. Or a lot of instances in the Torah where you add a vav before a word, it changes the tense, right? From the past to the future. So if somebody teaches you one letter, in that case, you have to show that person respect. So, al achas kama v'kama shetzarich linhag bo kavod. So, if King David could have that attitude, well, we certainly have to have the same attitude as well. Vein kavod el Torah, and there's no honor except for the Torah. Shnemar, because the pasuk says in Mishlei, in Proverbs, kavod chachamim yinchalu, the honor of the wise they will inherit. Usmimim yuchalu tov, and the perfect ones will inherit this good. Vein tov el Torah, and there's no such thing in the world tov except for Torah. Shnemar, because the pasuk says, Ki lekach tov nasati lechem torasi al tazovu, because it is a great gift that I've given to you, and do not abandon my Torah.
Okay. Achitophel was neither a Tana nor an Amora, but rather a trusted advisor to David HaMelech, and ultimately a betrayer of the king. David HaMelech had thought very highly of Achitophel, even calling him a treasure, a guide, an intimate. Words found in Tehillim 55, lines 14 and 15. However, Psalm 55 was composed at a terrible time in David HaMelech's life. While he was running away from Avshalom and fleeing for his life. And the same Psalm 55, David bemoans the fact that he was betrayed by Achitophel, among others. Achitophel joined the rebellion of Avshalom, who failed in his quest against David HaMelech. Some say Achitophel committed suicide after the fiasco. In any case, I found an interesting letter that Rabbi Menachem Schneerson wrote in 1949. It was just before Shavuos, and the letter was sent to various unknown individuals. I thought that it would be worth paraphrasing parts of the letter because it talks about Achitophel's words of advice to his sons before his death, and best of all, the letter ties into the upcoming holiday of Shavuos. So, first, the Rebbe says in summary that Achitophel's big mistake was viewing life through reason and logic rather than through fear of sin and acceptance of the yoke of heaven. The sages say that in Baba Basra 147a, and before his death, and I quote, Achitophel gave his sons 3 commands. 1, do not participate in a dispute. 2, do not rebel against the royal dynasty of the house of David. And 3, if the holiday of Shavuos is a clear day without clouds, so wheat. Rabbi Schneerson asked why Achitophel said, do not rebel, if he already said, do not participate in a dispute. And also, what is the message of Shavuos falling on a clear day? What is the common factor? So Rabbi Schneerson writes that a person should strive to attain the 3 crowns of Torah, or 3 heights of personal development. One can attain the crowns through 2 paths. The true path is the fear of sin and acceptance of the yoke of heaven. The path Achitophel took was a path of wisdom which is merely reliance or belief in logic and reason. Achitophel realized too late that the path he chose for life did not prove advantageous for him, so he warned his sons not to make the same mistakes. First, don't get involved in any dispute that is not for the sake of heaven, as Korach did. Secondly, don't rebel against the house of David, which established a yoke of Torah and a yoke of Teshuvah based on Yiras Shamayim. Third, wheat is food for humans, but here wheat represents knowledge. In Brachos 40a it says, the tree of knowledge was a stalk of wheat, for a child does not know how to call his father until he tastes wheat. The tree of knowledge involves wisdom and also intellect. Achitophel told his children that the success of a wheat crop, meaning success of the intellect, is dependent on the Shavuos holiday, the day when the Jewish people got the Torah. Jews always study Torah, and even Shem and Ever are mentioned as having a yeshiva. The difference here is that on Shavuos, the Jewish people expressed a perfect commitment to accept Hashem's yoke. Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do before we will listen. It was a clear day when the Jewish nation accepted the Torah. So Achitophel was advising his sons to accept Hashem's yoke in a manner that transcends intellect. The Shavuos holiday is the culmination of a perfect acceptance of the yoke of Torah.
Next Mishnah, the Mishnah 5, Mishnah Hey. Mishnah says, Gedola Torah yoser min kahuna umin malchus. That Torah is greater than royalty, being a king, monarchy, or being the Kohen Gadol. And it's interesting because is kahuna available to any of us? Can any of us be the Kohen Gadol? Well, only one of us, as far as I know, is a Kohen, Ari. But I think Ari, you've aged out, right? I think you're too old to become the Kohen Gadol at this point, right? Probably, right? So that means that certain hereditary characteristics are available, and only certain people could be the Kohen Gadol. Only certain people can be the king, right? We have to be able to be direct descendants of the house of David. But Torah is available to everybody, right? All of us can get it. And the mission says Torah is even greater than those two. Shehamalchus niknes b'shloshim malos. In terms of royalty, there are 30 attributes, and we'll go through all of them. I'm not going to require you to memorize them all, but we're going to go through a little bit about them. Hakahuna b'esrim arba, and as far as being a Kohen, there are 24 special gifts that the Kohen receives, whether it's the parts of the sacrifice he's permitted to eat, whether it's truma and so on. There are various things, but there are only 24 of them. But Torah has 48. There are 48 principles or 48 things that are connected with the Torah, and we're going to go through those. Those are going to go through the two Mishnayos, and I'll just dwell on a few of them. So starting with the first one, but Talmud, that's with study. B'shmias ozen, hearing, right? I know some of us are seeing each other, some of us are just listening. So listening to it. Arichas svasayim. Arichas svasayim. Hi Ari, I see my son-in-law Ari showed up. So arichas svasayim is your actually the training of your mouth. It's like muscle memory in your mouth, which means that if you study and review so that you can give it over, so you've accomplished that kind of muscle memory. Binas halev, understanding of the heart. Shitlas halev. So sitlas, seichel and bina are different, right? Some people have understanding but don't have common sense. So you have to have both. Ema is fear. Yira is another type of fear. One is like trembling and one is awe. Anava is modesty. Simcha. So when you learn, you should be doing it with simcha. You should be enjoying it, right? Shimush chachamim, and shimush chachamim means that you should help. You should help the chachamim. So if you have the opportunity to help out a person who is a scholar, that's a good thing for you. Diktuk chaverim. Diktuk chaverim is an interesting one because diktuk, we know if you studied in yeshiva, you learn diktuk in like the second or third grade. It's the conjugation of verbs. It's grammar. But it also means to be discriminating. So when you choose a friend, choose the right friend. Ubapilpulha talmidim, and that's the debate among students. So as long as the subject is Torah and they're debating it purely for the purpose of getting at the truth, that's good. Yishuv means to be somebody who is settled and calm, right? The Mikra. So the person should study. Mikra is the 24 written books which comprise a written Torah. B'Mishnah, that's what we're doing now. We're learning Mishnah. B'miyut Shena. So you shouldn't sleep too much. And actually, the Torah in Iyuv gives us a hint because there's a pasuk in Iyuv which talks about his becoming strong, and the word is used in that pasuk is az, Aleph Zion. So Aleph in Gematria is 1, right? Zion is 7. So 1 plus 7 is 8. So the Torah is telling us 8 hours is the recommended number of hours of sleep every day. B'miyut sicha, and idle conversation, you could minimize that. Miyut tanug, and in terms of the types of physical pleasures, you don't need to be in excess on that. Miyut tzchok, even in humor is good. It's important. We should enjoy our life, and a lot of Rabbanim, even the Gemara says that they started out when they had a lecture to deliver, they would start with a little bit of a joke to get the people in the mood. So that's good, but not too much. Miyut derech eretz. Derech eretz in this Mishnah, it means earning a living, that you definitely have to earn a living, but that shouldn't be the main goal. So erech apayim. So erech apayim, that means somebody who gets angry but holds the anger, does not let it out, right? Belev tov, you have to have a good heart, right? And elsewhere in Mishlei it says, Belev tov mishte tamid. If you have a good heart, it's always a party, right? In your life. Be'emunas chachamim, in the faith in the scholars. U'bekabbalas hayisurim. This is a tough one, right? Yisurim are translated as sometimes they're small little inconveniences in life. You know, one of my rabbeim says if you reach into your pocket and you want to take out a quarter and a nickel comes out, that's yisurim. That's a tiny little punishment that God has given you, or maybe a little reminder. And so you have to accept the yisurim with the proper attitude. You have to understand why it happened, right? And you have to be thankful that God punished you in this little way, and maybe checked off one of the areas you have. So you have to accept that. Next Mishnah continues with the 48. Hamakir es makomo, someone who recognizes his place. And that's an important one, that you have to know who you are and what you know, and sometimes it's your place to. Yes.
David, which Mishnah are you
on? Oh, we're in chapter 6, Mishnah 6. Okay, and I'm gonna.
Thank you.
Okay, and try not to talk because everybody is hearing. Okay, so.
I understand.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. So a person has to recognize his place in the world. So sometimes it's your place to speak up, and sometimes not. Hasamer bechalko. Again, we've gone through this many times, where a person has to be satisfied with what he has in life, which again does not mean you should not be ambitious. You know, you should not. If you're a vice president, you want to become a director. There's nothing wrong with that. But the idea is that should not be, right, Becky? That should not be what's consuming you. But you have to be happy with what you have in life. And you are careful with your speech. And don't try to get only the good for yourself. Ahuv, that means that you are someone who is loved. Ohev es hamakom, that you love Hashem. Ohev es habrius, you love other people. Ohev es tzedakos, you love righteousness. Ohev es tochachos. And this is another tough one. If someone criticizes you, it's very difficult to accept that criticism with maybe, I don't know, with love is a good word, but accept it for what it is. Because the truth is that in all criticism is always a little kernel of truth. So if someone criticizes some action that you're taking, so it's very easy to respond, to get on the defensive and respond. But you're supposed to accept it and be glad that you received that criticism and hope that you will improve. You love those who are straight. Misrachek min hakavod, that you distance yourself from honor. You should not be seeking after honor. Lo mekis libo b'talmudo, then you should not be arrogant about the learning that you have. Veino samech b'hara, and when you are asked to make a decision in a dispute between people, you should kind of stay away from that if you can. You shouldn't try to get involved in situations like that, because it's always possible you could make a mistake and you might rule in favor of the wrong party, or you might make the wrong decision. So if you're not happy when you're asked to do that. By the way, does anybody be keeping track? It's 48 total. Anybody? Are you counting as we're going along? All right, anyway. No save olim chavero, that he helps out his friend. Machrio lekavskos, and you always look at the other person with, give the person the benefit of the doubt. Ma'amido ala emes, and if you see that your friend needs help to get onto the true path, you do help him. Ma'amido ala shalom, and you help him to find peace. Misyashev libo v'salmudo, and your learning should be something that's settled in your heart. Shoel umeshiv, and this is an important one too, that when you ask a question, you should sort of know what the answer is beforehand in a way, certainly if you're in a position where you're teaching. So it's easy to maybe make a riddle and try to confuse your students, but you ought to have the answer in your mind so that you can solve it for them. Shomea ha'omosif, you hear and you expand. Halomed almanas lamed, learn for the purpose of being able to teach. Halomed almanas lasos, also to learn in order to do. Hamachkim es rabo, that you actually improve your teacher. right? This is a tough one, right? So you're by the type of questions that you ask, you help the teacher himself to improve. Hamakaven eshmuaso, and you pay attention. You listen to what he's telling you. Homer davo mishem amro, and I'm going to sort of finish up with this one. It's because and it's sort of fitting because this period that we're all going through right now, and hopefully it's coming to an end. It started out right after Purim. And we went through Pesach, and now we're coming to Shavuos. Looks like it's coming to an end. The Mishnah says, Omer Dava b'shem Amro. If you quote someone, in other words, you say something that another person said, but you give credit to that person who said it, that has a very big beneficial effect. And what is the very famous instance, very famous situation where someone repeated a statement in the name of the person who actually said it, and a Yeshua to the Jews came, right? What was it? His halamanata, we learned, Shekol Omer Dova b'shem Omro, anybody that says something in the name of the person who already said it, in other words, to give credit to that person, maybe Geula La'olmi brings salvation to the world, Shenemar, because it says in Megillas Esther, Vatomer Esther L'Melech b'shem Mordechai, that Esther told the king in the name of Mordechai. So when Esther quoted Mordechai, and the king realized that Mordechai was someone that needed to be rewarded by the king, needed to be heard by the king, and what happened later on when he opened up the book and he discovered that Mordechai had not been properly rewarded, so that eventually brought about Haman's downfall and the Yeshua of the Jewish people. So I'm about finished. We've really enjoyed doing this 6-week period, and we hope next year between Pesach and Shavuos we'll be able to learn in public, learn together with everyone. But I like the Zoom. I think this gives people an opportunity who maybe can't get to shul or whatever can tune in too. So we probably will continue it. And I'm just going to ask Mindel if you have anything you want to say
I enjoyed
at the end of the 6 weeks that we've done this together.
It was a lot of fun working together with David. We have always worked together in our career in the past 50 years. It seems very strange to say in the past 50 years, but it's been a good thing. So thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Welcome. Happy anniversary.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is everybody? I'm gonna just unmute everybody for a second.
Okay. Happy anniversary.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Tova.
Okay.
Bye. Take care. Chag Sameach.
Bye, Samir.
Thank you. Let's see.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you.